We had studied about milk, its composition, different types of milk, etc. Now today we'll be studying about the factors affecting the quality and quantity of milk and how we'll produce clean milk. Okay. Now milk, the composition and the what they call yield, it varies. It is a natural phenomena. The variation in the composition and yield of milk, it is a natural phenomena. Naturally it occurs. And this variation, it is important not only from nutritive point of view, but also from economic point of view, because depending upon the composition, then when you process the product, then the different composition varies. Okay, so both from nutritive as well as economic point of view, these factors, this is important. And there are many factors affecting this, both composition and yield. These factors, there may be one factor affecting it, there may be many factors affecting it. Okay, so broadly you can divide this or the factors which are responsible into two. One is the physiological factors and the other is the environmental factor. The physiological factor, as we all know, it is the genetical, it depends upon the genetic makeup of the animal. And the environmental factors, there are many things about age, stage of lactation, etc. We'll come to them one by one. We'll be considering mostly the environmental factors. So first let us come to the factors. Although there are many factors affecting both, the same factors, like some of them like breed, etc., affecting both quality and quantity, I have divided it into two parts so that it is easy for you. Okay, so let us come to the factors affecting the composition of milk. Now in milk, when you say factors affecting composition, the nutrients which are present in milk is same. In all the milk, the nutrients present is the same, but they are present in varying amounts. Okay, and generally this variation, it is more in case of individual. If you take milk from individual animal, one animal, the variation is more as compared to the milk. When you take a milk from a mixed herd, many animals you collect the milk and take, the variation there will be less as compared to individual. And again, the composition, it also varies more in case of smaller herds. When the herd size is small, then also there is more variation as compared to larger herds. And in general, of all the constituents, the major constituent which varies is fat, milk fat. Maximum variation is in milk fat. After that you have the milk protein, and then followed by ash and the sugar, that is lactose. So most variation is in fat. So we say variation, later on when we will come to the points, we will see variation in fat and we say variation in SNF, solids not fat as a whole. So the factors affecting the composition of milk are many: species of animals, breed of animals, individuality of animals. Species, breed, individual animals, stage of lactation, effect of age, health of the animal at the time of calving or parturition, seasonal variation, variation from milking to milking, variation during different stages of milking, the feeds given to the animal, effect of estrous cycle or heat, effect of exercise, effect of milker, effect of diseases and effect of drugs. So these are the various factors affecting. Let us come to them one by one. Species. We all know that the percentage of fat in case of buffalo milk is more than the percentage of fat in cow's milk. So buffalo and cow, they are two different species. So each species has a characteristic composition. Okay, so composition in case of human, the protein and the lactose, they are less, whereas in case of buffalo, the percentage of fat is more as compared to that of cattle. So species wise also there is variation, and each species has its own characteristic milk composition. After species you come to breed. Now you have studied the different breeds of cattle. So cattle breeds can be divided into what? Milk breeds, dual purpose, dairy breeds. So in general the milk breeds animal, they produce more milk, isn't it? So milk producing animals, they produce, like see, which are the milk producing animals? The Sindhi, the Sahiwal, the Gir, the Deoni. These are the four main dairy breeds of cattle of India. the exotic breeds, if you see, you have the Jersey, you have the Holstein. So these are the major breeds. So if you see the milk yield, in case of Sindhi, milk yield is 1134 and fat percentage is 4.9. In Haryana and Kankrej, Haryana is a dual purpose breed, the milk yield is less and the fat percentage is also less. Here too, according to the breed, the percentage of fat varies. This is the individual variation of the animal. In exotic breeds, Holstein Friesian, it produces more milk as compared to Jersey. See, Holstein, it produces 3800, Jersey produces 3400, whereas the fat, you see, when the yield is more, generally the fat percentage is less. In general, more the milk yield, less is the fat percent. So Holstein, more milk yield, less fat percentage as compared to Jersey. Individuality, that means within the breed itself, we say Holstein, we say Jersey, we say Sindhi, but within the breed itself, individual variation is there. Even if you give the same type of feed in the same environment, etc., then to what happens, the individual animals, they tend to produce milk which are of different composition, each again individual characteristics. This generally again is due to the hereditary factor, and variation in composition is generally more. Here individual animals also more in case of fat as compared to the SNF. Stages of lactation. You remember lactation was the period of production of milk from the date of calving till the date it is dried off. So from the day the calf is born, milk will be produced. From the day the calf is born, that milk, it is called colostrum. That colostrum is different from that of the rest of the milk. Forget about colostrum, the rest of the milk also subsequently, following the lactation period also, then also the fat and the SNF percentage decreases. There is decrease in SNF content from the time the calf is born until about 15 days. Till 15 days the SNF percentage decreases, then it remains stable for some time, and then in the last 3 months again there is a increase. So the curve is like this, from up to down 15 days, then stable, last 3 months it goes up again. The stage of lactation, other than the fat, it also affects the size of the fat globules. Initial stage, the size of the fat globules is big. The size of the fat globules is bigger. Later on, it decreases in size. The protein content also, same as fat, it changes. It increases towards the end of the lactation. But only the milk sugar, it remains constant throughout. So, this is about different stage of lactation. Now, according to the age, as the animal ages, milk production increases, but it does not follow a straight line. It increases to third lactation, and then it is stable and then decreases. So, first lactation means first calf that is born. First calf, it is born if it is a good crossbred animal, then the first calf will be born around about 2.5 to 3 years. Okay, so 2.5 to 3 years, first calf is born, so first lactation. So till the third lactation, it increases, and then till 7th, 8th lactation. So 7th, 8th lactation means 2.5 to 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, 7. So till 7 years of age. So it will be stable and then it decreases. So this stage of lactation is important, because if you buy the animal, then what will happen? It increases. You should buy it when it is in increasing stage. If you buy when it is about 7, 8 lactation, then what will happen? Later on it will decrease. Production will be bit there, but after 2, 3 calvings, the milk decrease. There will be decrease. So you will be on the loss. That is why effect of age is also important. Health of the animal at the time of calving. Now at calving, those animals which are in good body condition, the percentage of fat in those animals is more. Good body condition, then more fat and SNF. Those with low body condition, less. So because body condition means good fat, Seasonal variation is also there. Now generally, in those seasons where there is more availability of fodder, in those months the amount of milk production will be more because green fodder, feed, there will be more feed. It is seen that the milk fat and SNF percentage are highest in winter. More fat and SNF during winter and less in summer. In the winter also it is seen in the month of January and November. Remember? If you take Koloh, Doi Kolohot, Ghiu Kitia, fat Kitia Hoibisi, thick milk, Maghot. So in the month of January when you have that festival, more fat, cream, the rich milk curd is there. Because more percentage of fat in the milk produced during January and November. It is seen also that the cows which calve during fall means autumn. During autumn or winter, that means at winter when it is calving, then the percentage of fat will be more as compared to the animals which are in calving at the time of spring. Now, lactation is there, seasonal variation is there. Within a milking, from this milking, morning milking and evening milking also there is variation from milking to milking. The milk obtained from the individual animals differs in composition in every milking. This interval between milking, generally what happens, we go for 2 milkings at 12 hours interval. That is the best one, 12 hours interval. But if the interval increases or decreases, then there is variation in composition. So the difference in composition of milk becomes significant when the variation between the intervals of 2 milking is greater. When the animals are milked twice, composition will be more. When they are milked 3 times, then also with the composition will be more. You see, if the interval is more, then what happened? The variation is as compared, it is less. Variation in the fat. See, between milking to milking. A long interval, if there is a long interval, amount of milk produced will be more, but the fat percentage will be less. Now from morning to evening, this interval, morning to evening interval is generally what? It is less. And evening to morning, the interval is more. Okay? So, less interval, then what happened? Less interval means more milk or less milk? Less milk. So, less milk means more fat. Okay? Always remember, more the milk yield, less the fat percentage. Always remember that. Okay? So, if there is 12 hours interval, then the variation is not much. But if there is irregular milking means supposing you change the time. Normally, milking times and the milking person should be same. At the same time, you should go for milking. If the timing is not, supposing today you milk at one time, tomorrow another, then this irregular timing, it decreases the percentage of fat. The fat percentage is lowered if the timing of milking is irregular. Again, at the stage of milking also, in one milking, first milking, remember I told you 4 milk, I told you strippings. 4 milk, it contains less fat, more microbial organism. Strippings, last part, it contains more fat. So milking should be completed till the last few strips you should milk. Then only more fat percent. So within one milking also, if the milking is not complete, if you don't collect the strippings, then the fat percentage will decrease. So there is variation within each milking. So milk, it is related with the feed. Milk comes from blood you will get if you have proper feed, good feed. So good feeding, it includes feeding of concentrates, feeding of roughages. So if you have a balanced diet of concentrates, then you will have what? More percentage of fat in the milk. Concentrates such as sunflower, linseed, they give more unsaturated fatty acids. That means what? In the feeds you have wheat bran, you have rice polish, you have the cakes, oil cakes. So in the oil cakes, if you give sunflower and linseed, you get more unsaturated fatty acids in the milk. If there is, you take oils like palm oil, coconut oil, if you feed such palm oil, then the fat percentage increases. But if you feed cod liver oil, then again it decreases. So depending upon the type of oil, and the type of cakes, also the percentage of fat increases or decreases. If you feed roughages, more fibrous food if you give, then, or green pastures if you take, then the unsaturated fatty acids, they also increase. Effect of estrus or heat. Now, coming to heat is a natural phenomena. Every month it will come to heat. During estrus period, generally milk yield decreases, and there is some variation in the percentage of fat and SNF. Exercise. Normally, an animal should be given exercise. Good exercise increases the percentage of fat in milk. But the animal should not be exercised just before calving. Just before calving, you should not take the animal for walking long distance, etc. Exercise just before, milking should not be done, not calving. Just before milking should not be done. Other time, you can give exercise, but just before milking, it should not be done. Actually what happened, when you go for exercise, then what will happen? The body fat, it is metabolized. That is why when regular exercise is there, more percentage of fat comes into the milk. Effect of milker is very important. The milker, he may transfer diseases. Other than that, if milking is not complete, if milking is not complete means what? Strippings. The strippings are not removed. Then it will again affect the percentage of fat. So milker is very important. That is incomplete letdown. We say incomplete letdown of milk. When there is disease, so major disease of the mammary gland or the serious disease of the mammary gland is what? Mastitis. Mastitis or the inflammation of the mammary gland. Now when there is mastitis, generally that milk should not be taken for consumption. In that case, the milk changes, the quantity of milk changes as well as the quantity of fat and SNF in that milk also changes. Other than fat and SNF, mastitis animals, they contain more chlorides and less lactose. So when the animal has mastitis, the milk will have bitter taste because low lactose. The milk sugar is less, so the taste becomes bitter. Drugs when given for treatment, they also may have effect on both fat as well as SNF. Generally, the antibiotics when they are given, they destroy the microflora, natural. Along with the harmful one, the natural microflora is also destroyed. So when the microflora is affected, the digestive system is affected, and in that way it affects the production of milk. Excitement. At the time of estrus also there is excitement, but other than that also if there is excitement, what happened? There is a change in the hormonal mechanism. The hormones, there is changes in the hormones. So in that case what happened? Both fat and SNF, they are affected. Besides excitement, normally also hormones such as prolactin and thyroid hormones, which are essential for milk production or milk secretion, that is, it increases the fat percentage. But the hormone estrogen, it has a depressing effect. Prolactin and thyroid hormone increases milk production, fat in the milk production, whereas estrogen, it reduces it. So these were the factors affecting the composition. Let us go to the factors affecting the yield. So I told you also the yield increases till the third month, within a lactation also till the third month, static, and then last 3 months it again decreases. Here too you have different factors affecting it. Breed, like I told you, Holstein. Exotic breeds, the Holstein produces the largest amount of milk. This also, it is due to the genetic makeup, individual characteristics of the animal which is responsible for the change in the milk yield. During normal lactation, I told you yield increases. The peak yield, maximum yield depends upon these conditions. The body condition of the animal, the genetic potential of the animal, it has to be a milk producing breed, freedom from metabolic and infectious diseases, and the feed. Of course the feed, it is the major thing which is responsible for maximum of milk production. The day-to-day variation, The variation is due to general excitement, due to heat, incomplete milking, irregularities prior to milking, diseases and underfeeding. So these are responsible for day-to-day variation in the yield of milk. Between milking also, I told you, just as in case of the variation in the fat content, the interval between milking also affects the yield. So more the interval, less will be the yield, and less the interval, more will be the yield. The dry period and body condition. This is important. If you remember, dry period was the period from the day that the cow is dried off till the next calf is born. So it should be of 60 days period. This actually is a rest period where proper feeding should be followed, which affects the subsequent lactation. That means after the calf is born, the health of the calf also improves and the milk production also increases. Now this 60 days is important. You have to give a dry period of 60 days. If the dry period is less than 60 days, then the milk yield, it is found to decrease. And body condition in general, good body condition, more milk yield, because good body condition means what? Good body, feeding is proper, body condition, inside organs are well developed. Inside organs are well developed means it can eat properly, assimilate and digest and convert it to the blood. So good body condition, more milk, and dry period 60 days, more milk. Age of the cow also at calving. So age of the cow at calving. I told you, first lactation, second lactation, third lactation increase, then static, and then it decreases. At 3 years of age, they produce approximately 85% of the milk. At 4 to 5 years, 92%. And by 6-7 years, they are almost mature. 8-9 years, a decrease starts. Okay? So 4-5 years, increase in milk production but decrease in fat. So always remember, increase in milk, decrease in fat. The calving interval, we said calving interval should be 1 year. In 1 year, one calf should be born. If the calving interval is more, the milk yield, they say that you will produce milk for a longer period because the calf will be born at a later period. But what happened? That change will be only for one lactation. Subsequent lactations, the milk yield decreases. So generally, a calving interval of one calf in 1 year, it is body weight. So cows producing which have a large mammary gland, because the mammary gland is the major organ producing milk. So if they have a large mammary gland, then large digestive system, more milk will be produced. Gestation or the stage of pregnancy, gestation or the pregnancy period, depending upon the stage. As the pregnancy stage advances, the milk yield decreases. Temperature and humidity, this is another factor. There is what they call comfort zone, 27 degrees centigrade or round about 40 to 75 degree Fahrenheit. At that temperature, actually there is a balance. At that, no extra temperature or physiological change is necessary to either bring the body, means the temperature to body temperature. So at that temperature, there is no much effect on the yield. But if the temperature increases, then the milk yield increases. Because what? Your body resources will be necessary, or physiological changes has to be done to bring the temperature back to the normal body condition. So temperature affects the yield also. Higher temperature, less production. Season of the year. I told you before also, those which are calving during the spring, they produce more milk. Fat percentage is more in winter, right? But those which are calving in spring, they produce more milk. Feed, I told you before also, important. Other than feed, water. Water must be given ad libitum, as much as possible. Because animals, they cannot store water in their body. And when water, the level of water, or there is no water, then what will happen? There is drop in milk. All the mechanisms need water. So no water, there is drop in the milk yield. Hormones, I told you, growth hormones before also, that growth hormones, etc. But remember, in milk production only, the hormones, these growth hormone, prolactin, etc., they are necessary. But for the release, after the synthesis is there, I told you for the release, if you remember, there is a hormone called oxytocin. Only that hormone will let down the milk. So synthesis of milk is one, let down of milk is the other. So oxytocin only will cause the release, and for this oxytocin to be released, there must be a stimulus. So this is important. So I have given one by one, but they are interrelated, many things regarding the yield and the composition of milk. So various factors, one factor may be responsible or many factors may be responsible for this variation in the composition and yield. Then let us come to clean milk production. If you remember, I told you milk, it is sterile. As soon as it comes out, then it gets contaminated. So milk is a good medium for growth of microorganisms also. So you have to be very careful. If you want to keep the quality of the milk, you have to keep it very careful, because if it gets contaminated, the infection may come to the human being. Quality of the milk gets spoiled and infection also may spread. So hygienic measures. So from where this bacterial count? This high bacterial count in milk. Why I say bacterial count? Because major deterioration occurs due to bacteria. Bacteria will produce lipase enzyme. Lipase again will cause deterioration of fat. All these things are related. So poor storage of milk may be one factor. Poor sanitation, when you are milking the animal, the hygienic condition is not maintained. Improper handling of the animal may be one factor, and disease condition of the animal may be responsible for this high bacterial count in the milk. So these are some of the few microorganisms which are found in milk: Streptococcus, Achromobacter, Bacillus subtilis, coliform bacteria. So all these bacteria may be present in milk, all or some of them. So I told you, hygienic condition has to be maintained, and then comes the term clean milk, normal milk and clean milk. So when you say clean milk, what you mean is the milk drawn from the udder of a healthy animal, which is collected in a clean, dry milking pail and free from extraneous matter like dirt, dust, flies, hay, manure, etc. So, three things: it must be drawn from the udder of healthy animal. That is very important. Healthy animal, collected in clean, dry milking pail. Not that you clean the bucket and then you immediately go for milking. Clean, dry milking pail and free from any foreign materials like what? Dirt, dust, fly, hay, manure, etc. Okay? Then only you can say clean milk. So many benefits of clean milk. It is safe for human consumption. The keeping quality increases. Commercial, when the keeping quality increases, the commercial value increases. It gives us protection against diseases like typhoid, dysentery, diphtheria, sore throat also. It helps to produce good dairy products, and it can be transported over long distance also when you follow the clean milk production. So what are the factors which are responsible? There may be internal factors, there may be external factors. Internal factors, mostly it is the udder, condition of the udder, whether it is diseased, whether it is injured, etc. Or internal factor is in the milking, how you milk. External factors are what? The animal's body, whether it is clean or not, the condition of the udder, the hygienic condition of the milker, the method of milking which is followed, the utensils, whether how they are stored and collected, feed and water, and in general the environment of the shed. So in chart wise, if you see, this I have given you. So how will you, or what measures you will take to produce clean milk? First, you must follow good management. So in management, you have good feeding, housing, and animal health, cleaning of the equipments and utensils, normal hygienic practices and cooling. If you remember in pasteurization when I said also heating and cooling. Normally milk production also cooling is one very important factor. So first let us come to the animal management, feeding, housing and health. When you are feeding, this is regarding milking, not milk production. This is regarding producing clean milk at the time of milking, that the feed, you see, just before milking, to keep the animal stable, not to get excited, you give feed. But generally feed, normal feed, it should be given at least 1 hour before milking. Then only the whole system gets stable by the time you go for milking. Again, during milking, many people, they give fodder, etc. Non-dusty concentrates can be provided. Non-dusty, remember, because if it is dusty, it will go into the atmosphere, it will fall into the milk, so it will not be clean. Silage and wet crop residue should not be given, because silage, you see, if you have seen silage anywhere, you see there is a smell, right? And wet crops also, they have a smell, so that smell or odor may come into the milk. In that case, it will not be clean milk. So feeding, remember, 1 hour before feeding, dry feeding should not be there, dry concentrate should not be given, and silages or wet fodder should not be given. Regarding the house, it should be the roofing, the ventilation, everything should be correct so that the animal gets comfort. Always the condition should be giving comfort to the animal. If it is comfortable, it will produce more milk. Appropriate arrangement for disposal of waste. This is important factor. When you're going for housing, if the house construction is good, if the disposal of manure is not good, then flies will come. Flies will come means infection and germs in the milk. So proper disposal of waste, protection from flies. Another thing is that along with the dairy farm, the poultry and the piggery units should not be near the milking place. Okay? So this is about the housing. Animal health. I told you mastitis. Inflammation of the mammary gland is there. So routine examination of the animal. Other than mastitis, there is another important disease, TB, tuberculosis, brucellosis. Tuberculosis, it may also come to the human beings through milk. So very important, routine examination of the animal is very important. So to see that it is disease free, then only that milk should be taken for consumption for the public. So if it is diseased animal, then it should be separated and treated. Other than diseases, injury. Sometimes animals, when they are let loose, they injure themselves by rubbing through the wire nettings, etc. So if the mammary gland is injured also, then also you have to take care, because any injury, flies will rest there, organisms will be there, secondary infection will start. Then there will be difficulty in milking of the animals. Okay? So main thing is hygienic condition and regular vaccination against these diseases. Cleanliness of the milking equipments. Simply just washing prior to milking is not sufficient. Milking vessels should be cleaned before and after each milking. Before milking, you clean it, dry it. After milking also, you clean it and then you dry it. What do you use? Many people, they use mud, they use ash. What you should use is detergents or chemicals which are non-injurious. So T-Pol is suggested to be used for cleaning of the utensils. In this cleaning of utensils, the drying, I told you, is very important. Properly dried so that no residue, because small amount of that little milk, or if it is not cleaned properly, little milk and water mixture, that may be the source of infection also. So proper drying of the vessels, and it should be kept in inverted position when you are drying. That is important, so that complete drainage is there. And milk, the shape of the bucket, we say open shaped bucket should not be used for milking, dome shaped bucket, so that organisms or extraneous metal may not fall into the milk. Hygienic milking, that is about the utensils. Now it is about the milking. The personal hygiene of the worker is important. The person who is handling. If the person, first, if he is diseased, if he is suffering from certain diseases, then that may also come to the animal. Free from communicable diseases, should wear clean clothes and trimmed nails so that it does not cause injury to the udder. And he should neither eat nor spit anything. At the time of milking, should not be eating, should not be spitting. This is important. That is in case of the milker. And in general, before milking, he should clean his hands with soap and water and wipe dry. Always remember, at the time of milking, hands should be dry. Many people, what they do, they use oil, they use a little bit water. Sometimes what they do, they also spit and they milk. So that should be avoided, dry. The hand should be dry while milking. Before milking, grooming is important, I told you, so that the foreign materials may be removed. All foreign materials may be removed. Grooming is necessary. Washing of the udder. You wash the udder with lukewarm water and dry it. But you should not sweep the floor just before milking. Always keep in mind that while milking, it should be in a clean environment, no dust. That is why feed, those considered dry feeds should not be given. Sweeping of the floor should not be done. So what you should done is grooming and then cleaning of the udder, drying. Okay? How you milk, that is important. You will come to study that. There are different methods of milking. Full hand method of milking, stripping, knuckling. These are different methods of milking. So full hand method of milking should be followed. The 4 strippings, if you remember, you discard them because they contain more microorganisms. And after each milking, the teeth should be dipped in antiseptic solution so that there is no infection, to reduce the risk of infection. And I told you also that wet milking, no wet milking. No water, no oil, no nothing of that sort should be used. And milking should be completed within 6 to 8 minutes. Why? Why 6 to 8 minutes? The milk letdown is due to the hormone oxytocin. This oxytocin, it is produced by stimulus. Okay, it is produced by stimulus, but what is important is that this hormone remains in the blood for only maximum 10 minutes. Okay? Maximum 10 minutes, but in general they say till 7 to 8 minutes. So within that minute you have to complete the milking. Okay? So while milking, by 6 to 8 minutes, milking has to be completed. After milking, straining of milk is very important. It should be strained using a clean cloth or a strainer. And that strainer, remember again, like the utensils, it should be washed and dried daily, because that may be also source of infection. So after milking, cleaning and is important of the strainer. Then comes the cooling. Now, if you have seen in those milk collecting, those booths, milk are given from cool containers, isn't it? Cooling chamber is there. So if you don't have such cooling containers at home, or if you're having a small milk unit, so to say, then you should keep the milk which is collected in some container containing water, etc. Keep it in the cool area. Why? Because if you cool it, then what? It can be kept for a longer period of time. The sooner the milk is cool after removal, the better is the quality. Better quality. Okay? Thank you.